Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November 7th edition of the Zooch and Wilde podcast. Happy daylight savings, everyone. We took our little bye week last week. Um, I was in downtown LA today, so I got the brunt of traffic, just pent up, tired. But I am so excited to talk college football this week because we got another coach fired, playoff rankings dropped, and sorry to the people who are not based in the state of Idaho, but we are dedicating some time for a certain team in the Gem State who, as our boy, a true gentleman, put it, has been on a Joe DiMaggio-esque streak of shit the last 2 or 3 weeks. So, Zooch, how are you after that weekend? And we have YouTube TV fucking over ESPN. There's just a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that is the funniest part of the weekend is like people taking either the side of YouTube or Disney and acting like the other one is the Little Sisters of the Poor. It's like, okay, YouTube and or Disney both have billions upon billions of dollars. They should just come to an agreement. You blame whoever you want, blame whatever side you want.
I don't know.
Come to a
I,
freaking
how long do you think? I honestly think this. I got like a bad feeling. This is just gonna keep going until like Thanksgiving. Like I think
well,
Thanksgiving
usually
is like
it's
their new
happened
deadline.
before and it's like a day or two, right? And like you almost
Yeah.
don't even it's always like you'll see those little things that like, hey, like just so you know, like our agreements about. But also, why do they not have like 2 month long agreements? I swear to God, like go have a multi-year agreement. But no, this one's been because I even thought going into the last week, and I'm like, oh, I'll get up Saturday and they'll have figured out whatever. Like they'll have come to a deal. Not so. So downloaded Fubu, which is weird because it was working for most of the day, and then at nighttime it started like glitching and almost to the point where like you just get annoyed with it. So you're like, okay, I'm just gonna like follow this on Game Pass because I'm tired of the constant like buffering and stuff like that. Like you don't want
That's
to
fair.
get super far behind.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah, Hugh
I
Freeze, he's
I gave
gone.
the middle finger to both YouTube TV and Disney. It's just like, I'm just gonna go to bars and watch. Like, I'm not downloading anything new. So, but we did have a coach fired. Zooch, you brought it up. Hugh Freeze out at Auburn. Number one, super funny that this was like leaked because his standing tea time was deleted from the Auburn Country Club. I found that funny. But I mean, Zooch, you could talk about it. I feel like this was a long time coming. What are your thoughts on this? Where do you think Auburn goes from here? Where do you think Hugh Freeze goes from here?
Well, when you scored 3 points against Kentucky at home, you could be Nick Saban and be on the hot seat.
Come on,
That
come on.
is, it was like honestly was one of those. I'm trying to think because it was a night game, and I watched most of the. It was weird because I was like watching the Ole Miss game, watching the World Series, and then it kind of like a switch around between the World Series, Ole Miss game, Georgia Tech, and then I saw that Auburn score. I'm like, well, this game doesn't matter. Neither one of these teams are like going to do anything this year. Both coaches are on the hot seat. But when you see that, it's like one that you want to turn into just to see the reaction of like the fan base. And you could just like, I don't. It's not even like their offense got bad. It's gotten worse. Like it's
Yes,
gotten worse since Peyton Thorne was there, and like
hasn't
you just
developed a
can't.
quarterback. That's like the main thing I feel like with Freeze. He hasn't developed a quarterback. Um, and to Auburn fans, look, I am no Brian Harsin fan, to say the least. I've had my many criticisms of him on this show, but there's no one in America smiling harder than Brian Harsin right now because I think
No,
he was the scapegoat for deeper rooted institutional problems in that Auburn football program that I think Auburn fans and boosters are just now coming to realize like, shit, we got to like change our ways of doing things or we are going to continue to be this middling of the pack SEC team.
yeah, and I think you're, and it's kind of funny because you're starting to. I don't know if you feel this way, but it all really started. I'm not going to count the Virginia Tech one because they're not on the level of like Florida, LSU, and Auburn, or even Penn State. But it, kind of when Penn State, mostly when Florida let go of Billy Napier, you sort of kind of seeing like, oh, like Lane Kiffin's, that's definitely where he's going. He's going to Florida. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but it kind of seems like the national media has changed their narrative on that a little bit. Like you're starting to see, at first it was, oh yeah, he's going there. He's like, that's the guy, that's the guy, that's the guy. Now you're kind of seeing with him, and to a lesser extent, Drinkowitz, and you've had the other guys like Rhett Lashley at SMU re-upped his deal. But my overall point is they're kind of starting to say like, oh, in this day and age, like you don't really, those jobs aren't what they, not better job is like in the eye of the beholder, anyways.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty clear now, like with Kelly, especially, he had a winning record, had been to the SEC championship. Napier and Freeze are a little different than him because they did have losing records, weren't really winning SEC games. So you understand why they got fired. But I think with both of those programs, people are kind of looking at it now and are like, well, everyone's getting fired there after like 3 or 4 years. So why would you leave
No, I agree.
a job that you have like great? And I'm not saying like he won't take the Florida job. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it does seem like that narrative has like even Nick Saban was saying the other day, like, oh, why would you leave? You're
No,
starting to see like
tradition means
Peter
less.
Burns saying the same thing. People like that who are like, oh, even Paul Feinbaum has kind of switched from like, oh yeah, he would definitely go to now. I saw the other day he's like, I think he has one more move in him. I don't know if it'll be this year or later on. So it's going to be interesting for those programs. More so, there's only one Lane Kiffin, so not all of them are going to get.
I don't. I. I'm more convinced that he's staying. I'm also sticking with my guns on Lane Kiffin, saying that the only job he's going to take is if he were to leave, is I think it's down to Ole Miss in Florida. I don't think he takes any other job. But like you said, and I was listening, and another guy I've had my criticisms of in the past said something something I agreed with and really intriguing is that Kirk Herbstreit, he said something
Yeah,
really
here's
interesting,
another
and it
one.
was like he was like tradition has never meant less in terms of a selling point for programs as it is now. And even and he even said even sending guys to the league, I think that's still a big selling point, but I think money is it's the main selling point. Even for coaches, it's money and opportunity and student experience and relationships. And it's like if you're Ole Miss or a school like Ole Miss, but Ole Miss is just the example that always gets brought up. Yeah, maybe you have Zooch. I don't know. You probably know the numbers better than I do. I mean, they have a ton of NIL, but they probably got what? Probably a couple $1,000,000, a few $1,000,000, maybe a third less or a quarter less than a school like Alabama or LSU, maybe. Like
I would
they're
say,
not.
yeah, they have one of the best running, like how it's ran their NIL stuff, like the Grove Collective and stuff is it's one of the most well run collectives in the country, which adds into the point of you have Auburn, Penn State, LSU, and Florida, four schools who always have great recruiting classes, who in today's age start at whatever date that I know, like they could have entered the portal when the coaches got fired at those
Yeah,
places, but for the most part, guys don't. You're not going to see a mass exodus when a coach gets like fired, like in the middle of the season. So if you're Ole Miss or SMU or one of these schools that's been like either in the playoffs, looks like they're going to make the playoffs, you're like perennial top 20 ish the past few years, you can look at that and be like, well, damn, we can go in the portal and try to get
yeah.
this guy from Florida, this guy from Auburn, these guys from LSU. Like that part of it has changed to where, and obviously, I think Kiffin would get that at any of those. If he went to any of the big name open jobs, he could do the same thing. But the whole thing is kind of not flipped around, but just in a weird, I would still call it a transition period because you don't even know when they're going to be done. Like
No,
The
and,
playoff could be
like
weird, and January's like I don't know if first off, I think if he did have some type of agreement with Florida that's like, yeah, after the playoff run is done, I'm gonna come over and coach for you guys. That would get out. That's not something that there's too many big mouths and all of this stuff for that not to
no,
get
and I
out
think
almost immediately. Go
yeah,
ahead.
to your yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, with these I don't think Kiffin's going anywhere. I and like you said, at these big jogs like Florida, like you say, the big mouths, like these massive schools with massive pressure, with massive donors. Like if you're Lane Kiffin, and it's what kind of Herb Street was saying, why would like the job of an LSU or I Auburn or UC Kalen DeBoer at Alabama? I mean, he's the most stressed man in America right now. And he's literally in the same position as Lane Kiffin. Like, great team, one loss, controls their own destiny for the playoffs. And the vibes around those two programs are completely different. It's like parties and sunshine, Mardi Gras in Oxford, and in Tuscaloosa, it seems like, oh, grinding through every week, man. We got to keep like this
Well,
going. So it's like at these jobs, it just seems like, I mean, it's part of the reason James Franklin was able to stay around for so long. Because I think Penn State was okay with being, "Oh, yeah, we'll do a do alright," and then the 12-team playoff came around. I think James Franklin's still the coach if there's no 12-team playoff right now. I really do.
I do too, and he was legitimately a play or two away from being in the national championship last year. Like they led Notre Dame most of that game up until the uh, Drew Aller, like that weird interception he had where he like threw it back across the field and Notre Dame kicks a field goal. I think maybe that went to overtime,
No, no, that
but
was when they threw
that's
the
how they
interception
won,
with,
right?
like a minute left. He threw that
Yeah.
interception.
So, and like you said with Kalen DeBoer, like things are good right now, but if they lose to Oklahoma next weekend, then the pressure's like back on you. It's like, oh, like, now I don't know exactly how the SEC tiebreaker scenario would work at that point because you'd obviously still have A&M if they're undefeated, but then Georgia beat Alabama. I think Georgia would then be first up because they beat Alabama, who would have an SEC loss, and Ole Miss. I think that's how it would work out. But yeah, like he's a one loss away from being back on. Like everyone hates him again. Like, oh, he
Mhm.
like, and it almost happened a couple weekends ago at South Carolina. Like close game, people are starting to get furious at him again. So
We'll see.
you don't. At some of these and I like SMU. You can even use the SMU example. Yeah, they have 3 losses this year, but and they want to win. They're pumping a ton of money into that program. Texas Tech is another one that like who has more pressure on them, Sark or Joey McGuire at Texas Tech? Like it's not 2010 anymore in those circumstances. Like you still have like the powerhouses. It will probably always be powerhouses. I'm not saying they won't be, but in terms of it's much more akin to college basketball and the fact that okay, like a bunch more teams have a chance. You know, I mean, shoot, you're looking if you're Ole Miss, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, if it started today and we talked about it last night, that stuff will switch up a little bit. But you're like, we get Virginia at home, is what you're thinking. We get Virginia and Oxford, and then they would play A&M. You're like, hell yeah, I would take playing Virginia and Texas A&M to be in the semifinals for the national championship. Like, no, besides maybe Ohio State and Indiana, which were still, I still think they're both really good, but yet as much crap as people give the SEC about like, oh look, that win isn't as good as it was when you first had it. That's kind of the same thing though with Indiana and Ohio State. Like, and
Mhm.
they're both crushing people, which I guess is the main difference, I would say. But you're not like like Ohio State hasn't really played anyone good since the Texas
Texas.
game.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. What a great segue into talking about the initial playoff droppings they dropped this week. They got to do a better job of like not setting these things up on like election nights. I feel like this is 2 years in a row where like it was just look election nights on social media, and to their credit, it is important because it's how the country's run. But like through the gobs of stuff, you just see someone being like, "Well, freaking Memphis, right?" It's like, "What?" It's like, "Oh, playoff
Well,
rankings
and it,
drop."
it doesn't help that the initial rankings have been, like you said, on election night. So last year it was the big one with like all the House seats and Senate seats, and obviously the presidency accumulating with like people. Why the hell is Memphis the 12 when they're not even
Yeah.
ranked? Like,
No,
so
it's
and
funny.
people still don't get it. I like saw people on Twitter today like
Dude, it's every year.
confounded that it's like it. I had to explain to someone. I'm like, think about it in like the old BCS when like UConn would make the Fiesta Bowl. They have a guarantee of the top 5 conference champions. So you're gonna have your 4 Power 4, and then it doesn't matter if every team in the American, Mountain West, MAC, whatever, has 3 losses. One of them is going as it stands right now.
Can I say something about the Group of Five team? And say what you will, I do think Boise last year did a good job of putting this like kind of killing the conversation that's having now because they did at least to the majority of the country last year. Say what you will about the seeding, but I would say 99% of the country last year said, "Yeah, Boise State's deserving of being a playoff team." This
Yeah,
year,
that's what hurt last
uh,
year is the seeding. The seeding was the issue last year. This year, I don't. I mean,
can I say
shoot.
something? Why are people upset about Memphis? No, of course they're not a top 10 team in the country. They're probably not a top 20. But guess what? Do people not realize this is like the sacrificial lamb that keeps the money printer printing? Do you know
Yeah,
how many millions and millions of fans there are in the G5 that will completely tune out if you like, or not completely tune out, but like semi tune out of games if they don't even think they have like a 0.00005% chance of getting in? Like, that's how I view it. Like, I view it almost as like a necessary evil for the greater good of college football. I don't know.
well, yeah,
That's
and
my thing.
it's
Like, I
I
have
kind of look at
no
it, and they
I also think it's going to work
I think
itself out that the group of 5 team at the end of the year is probably going to be ranked like 22 or 21.
yeah, and like I think they did the right thing by there's no automatic seeds this year. So you're gonna get like they're gonna be the 12 seed, and more likely than not, unless there's a bunch of upsets along the way, the 1 seed's gonna be Indiana or Ohio State. 2 seed is gonna be Bama or A&M. 3 seed's gonna be the loser of Indiana and Ohio, or no, maybe the ACC kind of jacked that up. It was Miami for a while. The 3 seed will probably be Indiana, Ohio State loser. Four
Yeah,
seed will be
I mean,
the
we
SEC
we can go
championship
down the
loser.
list of what they got right now. I mean, yeah, they got Memphis at the 12, Virginia at the 11, Notre Dame at the 10, Oregon at the 9, Texas Tech at the 8, BYU at the 7, Ole Miss at the 6, Georgia at the 5, and then the 4 teams you mentioned right there in the top 4 with Bama, Indy, Ohio State, and Texas A&M. But no, I mean Georgia Tech shot themselves in the foot. The ACC is cannibalizing itself. The ACC has
the big
become the Big 12, in my opinion.
well,
Like
and
the
that's
ACC has
the
become
Big
the Big
12 is
12.
going to be interesting to me in terms of so Texas Tech and BYU play this weekend. Obviously, whoever wins that almost assures himself of a spot. I would say, like unless like I don't see how the winner of that doesn't. I mean, BYU would be what, 9-0 if
Yeah.
they win that game,
Yeah, they'd be
and
9
they
and
have
0, and they'd probably move up to I mean, would you move them up to 6 above Ole Miss? Like, if Ole Miss plays another close game that they don't look great, like another Washington State game, they'll jump them to number 6.
yeah, that one. The winner of that one will probably go up to because they'll be, especially if it's maybe either of them, but the winner of that, yeah, I could see as being the 6. But with the Big 12, like I I think Utah is still a dark horse, but I don't know if Utah is going to get in unless one of those two teams. Like the issue with Utah is they lost to both Texas Tech and BYU right now. If they had split with with those teams, I think it would be a different story. And like they'll be okay. Like Utah should be okay. They are cheering for as much as they hate it. Probably they're cheering for BYU this weekend
Mhm.
because if Texas Tech wins, they have UCF and at West Virginia. They're going 11-1. Hold the tie. Utah isn't getting their seed, and they would have to hope BYU then lost another game.
Are we gonna get another
So
Utah fuck up year where they go like 9 and 3 and somehow win their conference? These guys
I
these
was
guys are
thinking
just the
that at the
kings of fucking
beginning,
things up.
but like I just don't know if they have a shot. I think because I don't know if they'll get an at large because there's so many
No, there's too many SEC teams
SEC
this year.
teams, and the Big Ten is like a lot depends on the Big Ten. Like I think they're probably cheering for Iowa this weekend too over Oregon because I still think Oregon would probably get in over them, but then maybe like Utah shoots up in the rank. Like I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I think the Big 12's probably at 2, and Utah might finish 10-2, which is
Can
gonna suck for them. But
I have a sorry, finish your Utah thing because I have a caveat. I'm looking at these rankings right now, and I have something that's a wrench that I don't think enough people are talking about in these rankings. I have a
well, I just don't
fly
know
in
if
the
they can
ointment.
get in with at 10-2 with so little time. I mean, theoretically, almost every SEC team is going to have their shitty team they play in between this Saturday and the last week of the regular season, which is the Thanksgiving weekend.
Hmm.
So, Ole Miss has Citadel this week. Alabama probably plays like Mercer or someone like that. They'll have the Iron Bowl, but they're like if Oklahoma beats Alabama, like you're like, oh shit, like I don't know. I just don't know about the Utes.
No, I feel you. Um, I want you to take a look at this. So Notre Dame is ranked number 10 at 6-2. Miami is ranked 18 at 6-2. They beat Notre Dame, and I know their losses are worse, but that's got to infuriate you if you're a Miami fan. Like
Yeah,
that's got to infuriate you.
that
Like,
one didn't make too
and
much
I'll tell you
sense to
what,
me.
I don't think Notre Dame is guaranteed too, because I'm also looking at Texas, Oklahoma. Shoot, Louisville can mix it up. Vanderbilt, I think, can still mix it up. Like, if Texas or Oklahoma stacks a couple wins at the end of their year, I think Notre Dame's out. I really do.
Yeah, yeah, and they have the Utah like they're gonna have the Utah problem where it's you're 10 wins, and that's when you'll really start to kind of see the bitching about the G5 team getting in, which is to be the devil's advocate. They have a point, I think. Like Utah and Notre Dame would have a point, and get like especially if it's let's say it's like Tulane, right? Who they got destroyed by Ole Miss. They have the lost to UTSA this weekend. They could still make it. Like I really don't know who's going to win the American. Uh, So they have like I'm not like saying that they're wrong in terms of being like kind of annoyed that Memphis or Tulane or what it's going to be an American school more than likely, unless like San Diego State finishes 12-1.
That'd be a
But
good story,
I
actually.
that would be a good story. SDSU, like they're kind of the quiet. They're like 7-1. Like
Dude, they beat Boise in 2 weeks. They're in business. I will be at that game. There's, and I will just tell you this: there will be videos of that game, and you've heard it here. This is a Zooch and Wild breaking. There is a large Boise contingency going to that game. Young
well,
Boise contingency, under 30. These are not the Facebook fans of Boise State. These are the I will shout things at players and threaten violence fans that are coming to
especially
this
if
game.
at a certain point, which is highly possible that Boise State has like 87 yards of offense going in the fourth quarter.
No, so that's the last thing we have to talk about is holy mackerel. Unless you have one more thing to add on the playoffs before we give ourselves like a couple minutes to crash
Yeah,
out real
oh, the
quick.
playoff will work itself out. Everyone always with these, and that's what it's for. We've talked about it before. It is a show to get people talking. It's has like everyone at the water. You have the one dude at the water cooler who's like, "Oh, yep, SEC bias again," and then you have the normal person who's like, literally 1 and 2 are both Big Ten teams. Also, stop trying to like
You also got the Virginia water cooler
pretend you're
guy.
helping. Yeah, like stop trying to pretend that like Ohio State doesn't get favoritism either. All right, they lost to a terrible Michigan team last year and still made the playoffs. So it's not just a SEC thing. It's
Oh
Notre
my
Dame gets
god.
favoritism, Ohio State gets favoritism, USC would get favoritism. Anyway, yeah, not a great showing by the Blue Turf Boys
No,
on.
it's terrible. It's you just cannot do that if you're Boise. I'm not going to harp too much on it. I think other podcasts, other shows have commented and have covered this, and fans across the internet have vented to beat reporters. And that, okay, can I just say, how do I word this? If you are a fan getting mad at a beat writer whose money is tied in with their relationship with the team, use your brain. And let's just say you are a member of the media in Boise and you are taking these comments personally for you. I would also say, hey, dude, just take a deep breath. Like, it's part of the gig. Am I crazy? Am I
No,
crazy in
you're
that assessment?
exactly. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I did, however, just have to so people know what we were going through because I'm sure most people didn't watch this game. Although maybe more people than normal because of the ESPN YouTube situation. But this was one of those games that you just start laughing at a certain point because it is so like I think most people listening to this have had at some point in their fandom like watch their team get down 10 points. It's crazy to say, but you're like, yeah, there's no way in hell we're coming back. This is over. And it's like versus I'm not even talking about like if you're Purdue playing Ohio State. This is like, all right, we have the better recruits and stuff, but we're cooked. Like this is bad. But just so people get a good and clear picture, Maddox Madsen, the starting quarterback, went down in the first quarter. And after he went down, this is Boise State's drives offensively. 3 plays, -2 yards. 6 plays, 47 yards. 6 plays, 17 yards. 12 plays, 50 yards. And then it gets good. 2 plays, 1 yard. 1 play, 0 yard. 3 plays, 17 yards. 3 plays, -4 yards. 3 plays, 6 yards. 4 plays, -6 yards. 7 plays, 1 yard. 7 plays, 36 yards. End of
That
game.
can't be all quarterback play. Like that. Like, I feel
No,
like an offensive play caller could have dialed up something and got like a 23-yard chunk play. Like, you know what I mean?
no, it became a hate watch. You're like, I hate everything about this team right now, and I'm watching them, hoping that they go like 4 plays, 1 yard. Like it was one of those funny but not funny things. Like you're watching it, and like we're all texting in the group chat, just literally like laughing at like all the circuit. Like people are melting down on Twitter. Like you just see like, and then to boot it all off, you're playing probably like what other teams have said. Oh yeah, it's the best defense the Mountain West has seen in 6 years. In a couple weeks, with your long story short, your quarterback room that has two guys who are in the freaking wing T in Idaho because you didn't
No,
add a quarterback in the
dude,
portal.
the freaking you know what the Boise State QB room is right now? And I always have to preface this because I'm a Boise State fan. I'm not attacking any of these young men's character. I'm sure I'd love to share a beer with all these guys. But you got a guy who was a preferred walk-on whose only other college offer scholarship was like Lindman's. You had you got a guy who his first Division 1 FBS offer was Boise State, and then he just committed right away. So no other school recruited him. And a freaking walk-on from Meridian High School who thinks he's a youth pastor. Sorry, but that was me. That was no way to attack C. Martinez. But
No,
yeah, it's
it
just it's gonna get
truly
back.
is.
Honestly, I just say honestly, screw it. Put in the kid from Meridian. I mean, what do you got to lose at this point? Like, just throw them all out. Like, because I can't
Well,
watch.
and
And look, I'm not gonna blame Cutforth because like he shouldn't
it
be in
shouldn't
that
be in the
position anyway.
situation.
He should be a third string quarterback. There should have been someone else, but I don't know. I digress. That's enough on
Well, and
my local.
you,
I'll get too wound up again.
it was funny to watch because you realize the light bulb go. And to be fair, like what we were saying about it's an offensive thing to begin with. It's not like the offense was doing like Maddox Madsen had -4 passing yards when he went down injured. So it's not like Graham Harrell was back there like slinging the rock around. But you did see the light bulb go off in Fresno, which we literally it's the Brian Ferentz effect that him being on our field
Yep.
caused the offense to go into the shitter. Like you know, I was worried about him being at the game before. I'm like, I hope this doesn't affect our offense, and it looks like it did. But you did see the light bulb go off in Fresno State, and they're just like, we can just stack the box because these like they can't throw the ball to anybody. Like Chris Marshall's out. There's no deep threat. Latrell Caples is like walking around like a lost puppy because he had 7 false starts in a row and then dropped a pass. So like it's the whole like the tight end Louder just hitting him in the chest and then throwing it to the Fresno guy. It was all. It will be one that like in 5 or so years I like it comes up on my YouTube and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna relive that just to be like,
No, it'll.
hey, let's.
That's what you hope. So hopefully they can learn from it, and hopefully there's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a magnifying glass of an off season for Boise State football because I think there has to be some deep soul searching because I don't think Spencer. I don't think this program is dumb enough to not believe they have the issues. I think they're either A, too scared to confront it, B, don't believe they can confront it, which if it's one of those two things, I don't think you should be running football, or C, they just were like, screw it, like the vibes are high, let's just try to run it back with what we got. And if it's 3, you
Yeah,
know
and
what? I'll give you a pass on this year and just say, screw it, let's run it back if you just try to rehaul everything next year.
yeah, and I think that's what our overall main point is they played 9 games and scored 7 points 3 times. That's an offense. That's not just a quarterback issue or your receivers or your running backs. That is a entire offensive scheme, personnel. It's a bunch of different things that aren't working because you're a good D1 football program. There is no really even once a year if you score 7 points, you should be like, all right, what the hell was that? But maybe like it was like, oh, we had like 6 turnovers or something like that. No, a third of your games to do it, and maybe even more. Like I would not be shocked if they. I mean, you can always have like a broken play or two, but like we said, that San Diego State defense is. I'll pull it up real quick and then we can move on, just so people can. It's something to look forward to because it is a late game. It will be one of the last games on next weekend. So They've allowed 0, 36 to Washington State, which is weird. 0, 3, 24, 10, 0, and 7.
Yikes.
So since that Washington State game, they have allowed 10 or less points. One, and they beat Cal 34-0. I forgot about that. One, two, three, four, five of their last 6 games, they've allowed less than 10 points. Probably
That's
not
pretty.
going to go well, but sometimes it's something your program needs is stuff like this to happen, and it forces change.
All right, yeah, no, all right. Let's move on to the big games on tomorrow. The only game we're gonna really solo out and touch on quickly is Texas Tech BYU. It's the game that game day is going to. I'm excited for it, and like you brought up earlier, Zooch, it is a not. We've talked about playoff eliminator games in the past. This is a playoff confirmer for BYU. Um, who do you think wins and why?
I think Texas Tech is going to win. I think they, honest to God, might be the most because they had, and it kind of sucks. Like that is where the bias does come in because they are a Big 12 team who's they're a Big 12 team who's usually not good. And I think that loss to Arizona State, which was a 4 point loss, it's not like they got absolutely throttled. And Arizona State's not bad. They're not what they were last year, but they're not like losing to. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better win or loss than Alabama's to Florida State, but
Hmm.
they basically killed everybody. They have all double-digit wins, but that game and BYU's been kind of I don't want to say sneaking, but they've had some stuff go their way, and usually at a certain point for teams like that, they lose and they lose pretty handily. So I really think this might be like 48-20 Texas Tech. I think Texas
I
Tech is really
also,
good.
yeah,
I
I
think
got Texas
BYU
Tech
is
and
good, but this could
yeah.
be like the 4 interception game for Bear Bachmeyer,
Yeah. No, I also
the
got Texas
Bear.
Tech in this game. I do like Bear Bachmeyer. I think he plays well. Everyone knows my feelings about Sitake. I think their offense is more dynamic than we give them credit for. I think they got two really good receivers and Roberts and who's that other guy, like the little slot guy? Oh my God, what's his
Oh,
name? I'm blanking. But they're both pretty good. Um, I like BYU. I don't think this loss will derail their Big 12 title hopes. I expect them to be in the Big 12 championship game still. Um, but no, I think Texas Tech is just too much. I think that air raid system just gets him going, and Morton is back now, so I think he has a game. I'm just with you. What's the spread in this game? Let me
it
check real quick.
is
We wait on that spread.
10.5.
10.5. Yeah. No, I mean, so you're it sounds like the odds makers are kind of agreeing with you in the fact that they might smell blood in the water where it's like almost like it's one of those games where it's like close all the way through and then like the first mistake BYU makes, like maybe a pick on their own like 18-yard line and like then the wheels just start turning off and it's like
Yeah,
14 unanswered
and
points sort of deal.
34-0 turns into 48-0, or we've seen it before. That's how I feel about this game. And yeah, I mean, we're in the dog days now.
We are
I mean,
this
every game always matters, but this is when it really like
No, we're in the
you're
we're in the final
really
quarter.
doom scrolling.
4 more games. You got 4 more regular season football games in college. Man, how time flies. All right, last thing before we go to the list. What is the team that you think has the most to prove this weekend? The slate is not the flashiest slate in the world this week, but there's some interesting ones. And I think the team that has the most to prove is the Iowa Hawkeyes.
That's who I
I
was going to
think
go with too.
I think Iowa has a chance to drop a freaking atom bomb in the playoffs. Because if they beat Oregon, we've all kind of penciled in, oh, the Big Ten is a 3 bid league. It's going to be Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State. Pencil them in. Big Ten will get in 3. The SEC will get in like more. If Iowa drops a bomb, right, you're not only looking at now Oregon sweating it out, you're looking at a second ACC team maybe sweating it out, that fifth SEC team sweating it out, the second Big 12 team sweating it out, Notre Dame sweating it out, because Iowa would only have two losses. They have a signature win and could essentially win out and be a 10-2 team with a win over Oregon.
Yeah, and for Oregon, and we talked about it, I think after they lost to Indiana. I mean, Oregon has beaten Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State, Penn State, Rutgers, and Wisconsin. Truly, their best win might be Penn State. I'm not even like, I guess probably Northwestern. They're 5-3, but those other ones are not. And granted, they still have USC and Washington to end the year, so they'll prop up their resume some should they win those games. But it would be interesting to see where they would fall to Oregon if they do lose this game, because allegedly these guys look at like the strength of your schedule, and I would think they would look at that and be like, they've lost to by far the two best teams they've played, and like
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a. I mean, Northwestern is okay. Like I don't think anyone's like
And I,
riding the coattails of Northwestern. I mean, like yeah, they're a real good bunch playing because they can never play at nighttime. Always playing at like 10 in the morning.
hey, mean.
Uh
They're building a new stadium soon. That was mean. That was mean. You know what? You went Cody there. That is one of resident Sooner fan Cody Voice's favorite things to say when you bring up Northwestern football is they don't have any damn lights on their fields.
well, they have a uh, quarterback who can complete a pass. Sorry, that was a cheap shot, and his hand is okay.
Oh my god, that's funny. But no, and last thing I'll say about this, man, is I think you've been harping on it since we've started this show, is that you think, and if they lose this game, I might start to come around on it. I think you think, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, that people have anointed Dan Lanning a little too early, maybe as this big game coach, where maybe
They
he's not like
haven't.
a James Franklin or Matt Rule, but like a lot of people have been like, "Oh man, Dan Lanning just crushes it." It's like, well, he's crushed it sometimes, and you've seen him fail sometimes.
Yeah, and like sometimes it takes guys a minute to, especially when you're coming in. And like Oregon wasn't in a dire situation when he got there, but they weren't in a great situation. They had replaced like
Cristobal,
Cristobal, but what was the? He went to FSU. I
Willie
cannot think of
Taggart.
that coach's Willie Tack. Like they had like two coaches in 4 years or whatever it is. So things aren't going special great for you. Like they really kind of gone downhill in those last couple of Mark Helfrich seasons. So he kind of took them over at a point where they weren't in their heyday, I would say. Like it's not like he took them over for Chip Kelly like Mark Helfrich did when everyone was like, it was kind of that not like beginning of the internet, but kind of when like Twitter and stuff started taking off and they had all the uniforms and like they were kind of forgotten about in a lot of ways. Like they weren't the belle of the ball anymore. So it takes sometimes, you know. And he has one that like they beat Ohio State last year. But you look back and you're like, damn, he did lose to Washington those couple times against Kalen DeBoer. He lost that game to Georgia his first season. They got killed by Ohio State last year when they were the number one overall seed. So it is like, I think you'll start seeing a little bit more of that should they lose this Iowa game. Like, all right, like, where does Oregon go from here? Like, can they win out? They got USC and Washington, and we'll see. It should be an interesting last few weeks.
It will be interesting. All right. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the games tomorrow. Last thing, we always end the show with the list. Now, there is something on the internet that I'm just going to come out to say we will not be talking about on this show.
Yeah,
If you know what we're talking about, shame on you. But
the most
also
foul thing I've ever seen in my life.
also full transparency, like it also came up in our timeline. So we will not be talking about that. We have some wholesome list moments we neither condone nor deny. these list moments. We are just bringing what we see to you. And first one comes from a very popular and famous list person. And I think he's been on the list in the past, but it comes from at Lane Kiffin.
Oh yeah.
And so he decided to quote cheat a tweet, and the quote tweet says, "The longest tenured coach in the best football conference in America, still fighting, still standing." Hashtag Stoops Troops with a hype up video of Mark Stoops, and Lane Kiffin decided to quote tweet that tweet with the goat emoji. He knows what he's doing. He needs to stop it. Mark Stoops is a good man who leads a good program. You need to stop it, Lane. Just stop.
He he is on my list again, but it was for a different coach, and it was for like SEC media tweeted like here or someone it was maybe it wasn't SEC media because I think it was all coaches. It was and I can't find it. I thought I had sent it to you, but I guess not. They did like their list of coaches of the week by each conference, and Brent Venables won the SEC, and he said, "Congrats at Coach Venables." So he's just and I mean he could have been on here for he was on here because uh, Auburn came out and said they're going to let the offensive coordinator call the plays, and he said, "Oh, what a concept!" So he's just going through the whole list of SEC. He's already on here earlier for his comments about Kirby Smart and not looking like he was losing any weight. So
That is crazy. Yeah. What is your list?
my first one, and it's not even really that bad. It's just foul, I would say. Uh, can we talk about Arizona State putting Jeff Sims' jersey in their Hall of Fame?
Yeah, no, that's terrible. And honestly, like this is the clip I want to say. To Arizona State putting Jeff Sims jersey in their Hall of Fame. That's a slap in the face to everyone who's ever laced up the boots at that school. Second of all, everyone here knows my feelings about Jeff Sims. He's a football terrorist that terrorizes my eyes every time I watch him play. Third of all, did you check his throwing stats? Seriously, someone pull up his throwing stats from this game, and if they're good, I'll shut up because he
I
got it in
gotta
because
see
of the
him.
rushing, right? I mean,
I'm
that's why
guessing
they put it in. Look up his throwing stats. I want you to tell me.
he
Tell me what.
was
Tell me what his throwing stats were. I'll eat
Jeffrey
the crow.
Sims, 13 for 24 with one touchdown and an interception and 177 yards,
Oh
and he
my
had
gosh,
228 rushing yards.
it's just unbelievable. I mean, the guy should have transferred the Air Force if he wasn't already 32. I mean, that's all I got to say about that. I mean, seriously, just despicable stuff, man. It's just yuck. Um, so the next list I have is comes from at Tyler Winfrey, and it says Hugh Freeze if Michael Oher never existed, and it's just a picture of the Krusty Krab. Um, it, come on, come on.
These other coaches like Billy Napier is like, I only had to get through a week of my torment, and then Brian Kelly's might have been the worst because he kind of memed himself with the family thing, and we had the Hawaiian dude and the the California guy who's like talking about getting pitted in the waves, and they're saying
Oh
that's
yeah,
him if he takes
love
the
that video.
UCLA job.
Get pitted like this.
My next one goes to Cat USC, USC being South Carolina, and it's just a
Oh,
picture of a guy trying to enjoy the South Carolina basketball game, and it says, "Bro, Lenoris, go practice. We got a game next week."
come on, come on. Um,
He's
so
having
the
a rough
last
year, guys.
So the last list I have, actually, it was on Halloween, so it's been exactly a week now, and it comes from at Dalvin the Truth, and it's a screenshot of something from Facebook, which is an AI generated NBA YoungBoy as the LSU head coach, and it says, "Hear me out, y'all would get every single 5 star." Come on. Come on, maybe we have to stop. I know NBA YoungBoy, hottest rapper out of the state of Louisiana right now, but come on, have to do better.
I'm just laughing at something we can't share on here that I completely forgot about. My last one, and it is he is a frequent list member, and it kind of has a little to do with basketball, but it is basketball season, so we can talk about it. So this was the for those of you who don't know, Boise State lost to Hawaii Pacific in basketball, like 48 hours after getting crushed by Fresno State. That is I can never do this right. That is a picture of Leon Rice and the box score.
Hmm.
Our friend Gabe Iguodala posted that photo with this photo.
I would just zoom in. I'll go.
There we go. The Shador. We got Shador and Leon Rice. Come on,
Just not
Gabe.
okay. Gabe, I mean, he's in the lip. I mean, has he cemented himself as a nominee in the Settle Down Awards as list? I mean,
Yes,
he has
during the Fresno State game, he tweeted at Brad
the
Little, who's
breezy
the governor in
bundle.
Idaho. He said, "Brad Little, what can you do about the Ben Ford situation? Who's a receiver who got injured for the year?"
He also has been claiming that his kid is going hungry because of the breezy bundle, which, by the way, ripped off about three more of those tweets after it was just announced that Breezy was transferring out of Boise State. And now he says, with the SNAP funds have been halted and no Breezy bundle, that him and his family are going to starve. Not
And
okay.
I'm just going
Not
through his
okay.
Twitter right now, and he has a picture of Madsen, who's like limping to the gator to go get his leg looked out, and he just looked at and he just says collarbone. He's been when Boise State gets bad at stuff, he gets on a roll it can't be stopped.
He also was the one who tweeted after the game where it's like, "Hey, don't be hating us in January when we're celebrating in February." That found the wrong part of Bronco Twitter because there were some generational crash outs who did not understand the satire, going, "We're not gonna."
Oh,
Did I just go off the screen for a sec in my rage? Well, follow Gabe Iguodala. That's all I gotta say. Funny account.
he is like if you just like look at the responses to him, it's worth the follow. It really he's one of the best follows I have. It is like just the breezy do bar thing, like the kid going hungry is
The
hilarious.
Ben Ford is also funny. The rest easy in Valhalla. We have the watch now, brother. After the injury, it was just has to stop.
Oh
Adding to
god.
oh well. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. That was really really awesome. We'll be back probably touching next week with more playoff rankings, figuring it out. As Zooch said, it's getting to that grind time of the year. Making sure you like and subscribe. As always, Zooch. Anything else before we cut out?
Nothing else. And you got less than a month of regular season college football. It seems like it was like yesterday we were talking about people possibly putting explosive devices in Kalen DeBoer's mailbox, and now we're almost to Thanksgiving, so it goes by fast.
All right, everyone. Thank you again, as always, for listening, and we'll see you again next week.